Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Anthony, and today we're diving into a question I get all the time, which is, do I really need to learn Portuguese to travel or move to Brazil? If you're planning a trip, thinking of living here long term, or you're just curious about expat life in Brazil, this video is going to be for you, so stick around because the answer might not be as simple as you think.
No meu olhar, como a manhã de amor, ancorado num mar de outra cor, rios de paz, de perdão, nascem nessa canção.
So let's start with the tourists. Can you travel to Brazil without speaking Portuguese, just as a tourist? The short answer is yes, you can, but it will depend on where you go and what kind of trip you want to have. Even if you're just traveling to Brazil for a short-term trip or vacation, I do still strongly recommend you to learn at least basic Portuguese. Learn the names of foods, important terms, greetings, numbers, telling time, directions, and emergency phrases. Like, for example, if you have some sort of food allergy or something, you're going to want to know how to read menus to see if there's something in the dish that you shouldn't be eating. Or so that you can describe to the waitress any dietary limitations you might have, for example. If you stick to hotspots like Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, Florianopolis, maybe Salvador, I'm not too sure, you're more likely to find people in hostels and hotels and nicer venues that speak English. Of course, many of the tour agencies in those cities will have English speakers as well, but restaurant menus, Portuguese. Street signs, Portuguese. The locals, Portuguese. The majority of Brazilians do not speak English. In fact, Brazil's English proficiency level is worse than Japan's, right? And Japan's English proficiency ranks very low. So once you leave the airport, everything around you is going to be in Portuguese. And it will be tough to find your way at times and get what you need without any knowledge at all of Portuguese. If you do venture off the beaten path, like to the northeast or smaller towns, the Amazon, English becomes even more rare very quickly. So yeah, you can get by, especially with Google Translate and a little patience, but it's gonna be kind of like watching a movie with the sound off. You're just missing the real experience, and even without being completely fluent, just knowing the basics can really go a long way. And before I move on to my next point, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you're getting value from this content. It's a completely cost-free way to support me and the channel, and I appreciate the hell out of you guys so far who have been doing that. Now let's talk about moving to Brazil. Moving to Brazil is a whole different game with a lot of moving parts, and there are things that you will need that will definitely require you to speak Portuguese. When talking about living in Brazil long term, you're dealing with renting an apartment, opening a bank account, which is probably the most frustrating, infuriating thing you will have to do. The banks here and everyone that works for the banks here are pretty much all incompetent. Like, dealing with Brazilian banks is a nightmare, where nobody in that industry really knows what they're doing or how things work, even at their own company or within their own systems. But I digress, before I get triggered just thinking about that shit again. But you're going to have to get a CPF. You're going to have to deal with the federal police, the Receita Federal, healthcare officials, doctors, all that stuff. All of these things are going to, including legal and accounting work, all of these must be done in Portuguese. So you need to have either a very good foundational level, or you're going to require a translator or something with you for a lot of the processes you'll need to go through to start living your day-to-day life here. My company, Flair International, will actually take care of all of this for you and provide you with any and all translations you might need if you're interested in moving to Brazil and you are comfortable with your Portuguese, and you aren't comfortable with your Portuguese yet. But yes, you will need to know Portuguese to live in Brazil long term. You don't necessarily need to be fluent, but you do need to have good basic conversational reading and writing skills. Even in the big cities, the vast majority of people you'll interact with daily won't speak English. Not your landlord, not your delivery drivers, your Uber drivers, or anyone you'll be dealing with at the corner store, supermarkets, anything like that. So yes, dedicate some time and focus daily into learning Portuguese. It will really take you a long way and will allow you to connect with people, and it'll open doors for yourself here. You're really kind of handicapping yourself. If you don't put in the effort to learn Portuguese, it's going to completely dampen your experience and your just quality of life. You can survive and get by without the language, but you'll constantly hit walls, delays, misunderstandings, and it's just extra stress that you don't need. Not to mention you're going to feel a lot more isolated as well. And for those of you interested in learning Portuguese, I'm going to put some good resources in the description below, which you can check out. When I arrived in Brazil, I actually didn't know like really any Portuguese. It was very basic, and was able to teach myself with some of the books that I'll link. So, as well as a few good YouTube channels out there, Netflix, Lingopie, etc. And if you really want to practice your Portuguese or any other language, make sure you also hop into the Flare Discord community that I run, where you can find people to socialize with, have fun with, while also improving whatever foreign language you might be learning. Now, beyond the logistics of Portuguese for accomplishing the things that you need day to day, knowing Portuguese will also be your gateway to connection when it comes to your social life, integration, all that stuff regarding people. Right? And Brazil is one of the most social, warm, and inviting countries in the world. But to truly make friends, go to events, join communities, you'll need Portuguese. My community, the Flare, is actually a great way to quickly meet people, other English speakers in Brazil, because the main language for our events and our meetups is English. But yeah, our social group and network is perfect for those who are still improving their language skills, but also want a head start with socializing in Brazil. Most Brazilians have technically taken some English courses at some point in their lives, even for years in some cases. But outside of the classroom, there is no need for English at all, and most people just completely forget all of the English that they learn. Or in some cases, they might be okay at English, but are very insecure about their English ability, which makes them kind of reluctant to want to speak. If you try to speak Portuguese, though, even if it's bad, you'll earn respect and make genuine connections with the people here. Portuguese is only spoken in a few very specific countries, so whenever Brazilians see someone trying to learn their language, they're usually really happy to see your curiosity and the effort when it comes to this part of the culture. If you want to date in Brazil, build a business, make friends, join a jiu-jitsu gym or a samba group or whatever, the Portuguese language is going to be the key. There are foreigners in Brazil who have lived here for 5 years, 10 years, or maybe even more, and still can't speak Portuguese. They get by, but they're just constantly dependent on someone else or other people or translators and things like that. And they're just kind of stuck in a bubble and can't really enjoy what Brazil has to offer fully. And I know people who learned just enough to be able to communicate and ended up getting jobs, fell in love, built a life that feels like home. The difference? Knowing Portuguese, the language. So, is knowing Portuguese necessary for travel? Not technically, but it massively improves your experience. Is it necessary for moving to Brazil or long-term stays in Brazil? Yes, 100%. If you want independence, integration, and quality of life, start learning. This doesn't mean that you need to be fluent within 3 months, within 6 months, even a year, but you will need to commit to learning and take that step-by-step, word-by-word journey to eventually reach fluency in Portuguese. And if you're thinking of moving to Brazil, you need help figuring it all out, or if you're interested in a full done-for-you service where you can relocate to Brazil and have all of the complicated paperwork and bureaucracy completely taken care of for you, check out the links in the description and book a consultation with me. I'll assess where you are, where you want to be, and just help you improve your mobility and options in today's increasingly globalized world. So this is Anthony, and I am out. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I hope this was useful information for you, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Rios de paz, de perdão, nascem nessa canção que seduz como a flor que guardou promessas do vento.